What's up, vinyl community? It's your boy Chris coming at you live, as always, from the Man Cave. Wanted to take a brief amount of time, quick video, as quick as I can possibly make the Vinyl Tag 2020, which is usually one of my favorite videos of the year to do. Last year's video was one of the most viewed videos I've ever had on my channel, and that was awesome. Had a lot of fun doing it. Unfortunately, for this year's, there's going to be a few questions I'm going to have to skip over because I no longer have anything to show you guys. But it's only going to be a few, and I'll keep it moving and entertaining for you guys, I promise. So, 2019, of course, as I told you guys at the end of my Best Finds of 2019 video, was my best year ever for vinyl. Hands down, no doubt about it. And with that in mind, I'll jump straight into question number one, Best Find of 2019. Guys, I had so many. I had a great year for 2019, those of you who saw my end of the year video. But if you haven't, give it a check, please, you'll understand. But I got to go with Sonny Rollins' Saxophone Colossus. It's an original mono pressing on Prestige, obviously. West 50th Street, NYC addresses, guys. Strong VG Plus on the vinyl. In this condition, that bad boy goes for over a K. So, huge find. I traded 3 boxes of classic rock for that and one other album, Ken Dorm's Una Mas, original mono press, and went home giddy as hell. Such a great day. Thanks to Novelty Records. Next up, favorite album of 2019. Guys, I only bought 2 or 3 albums released in 2019. This one feels like a little bit of a cheat because it was an album that was recorded over 50 years ago, but it was released in 2019. So, Coltrane's Blue World, you guys should not be shocked, especially not knowing me. So, great album. I really enjoyed it. Great stuff. I was a little disappointed with the treatment. I felt like a gatefold, at the very least, would have been great. They at least brought back the Impulse label. That's awesome. But a gatefold for an Impulse release, that would have been great. But that's nitpicking. That's nitpicking. That would have been awesome, though. Novelty Record. Okay, I really had no idea where to go with this one for number 3, Novelty Record. I guess I don't know. I didn't put too much thought into it. I used the opportunity to show you guys 3 albums that are just not normally things that I would buy, but I have a 3-year-old. So here's the Beauty and the Beast picture disc soundtrack. Here's the Coco picture disc soundtrack. These sound like garbage. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you for an audiophile like me, but my daughter doesn't care, guys. This one right here, pulled it straight out of the plastic, static all over it. I've watched it 3 or 4 times. Still static like crazy, like nobody's business. A brand new record should never have that problem. You're already not expecting, stellar sound quality from a picture disc, but it shouldn't come out. It shouldn't come out of the plastic with surface noise all over it when I've got albums that are 60 years old that don't have anything on them. And of course, my daughter's absolute favorite, Trolls. It's all she ever wants to listen to. To be completely honest with you, if I never heard it again, I'd die a happy man. And I actually like the soundtrack, but it's all my daughter ever wants to listen to. I'm trying my damnedest to get her to want to listen to something else. Please, baby, please, something else. I'm trying. Next up, Homage cover. Gonna have to skip it. And the reason I'm gonna have to skip it is because I no longer have the albums in my collection that would constitute an Homage cover. Like, most obvious one that comes to mind is, of course, in my opinion, is The Clash, London Calling, paying homage to Elvis Presley's debut album, same color scheme, everything down the side. I used to have both, now I have neither. So that's where I would have went had I had both of them, to be completely honest with you, because it would have been the most obvious. Next up, B-side or deep cut. I'll use this opportunity to share with you guys one that was actually DCLT gifted to me by my boy Hank at Smokestack Records. Hank, if you're watching, I hope you're doing great, buddy. But it's My God Has a Telephone by the Flying Stars of Brooklyn, New York. And it's the drummer of Duran Jones and the Indication, his group. So that's the A-side, and the B-side is Live On. So I just chose this all together because either way I buy it, chances are you probably haven't heard it unless you're as big on coal mine as my boy Hank at Smokestack is. Hank, thanks, man. You weren't lying. This is awesome. Next up, number 6, Something Funky. Alright, I'll go with Chicken Fat by Mel Brown. This is an original mono pressing, and this is a splat out white label promo on Impulse. Yes, sir. Got it from the best damn record store in the Carolinas, Noble Records. Gatefold and everything, obviously, because I got to show you because it's Impulse, guys. This is a little bit of blues, a little bit of soul, a little bit of funk, a lot of bit of jazz, and it is great. This guy shreds the entire album. It's freaking killer. I would highly recommend it, and it's one of those ones that you're going to be able to get not so expensive. I mean, I got this original mono promo off Dylan for 30, I think, something like that. So, you know, for me, that's cheap. Next one, number 7, Weird Shelf Buddies. Okay, this one was kind of awkward for me. I had to think outside the box because I got my albums. I used to have them all sorted out completely by genre and then alphabetically. But now I've sold off so many records and whatnot, and I've narrowed down my collection to all killer, no filler, to the extent to where there are a lot of genres I no longer have a single record of. I don't own any metal records anymore. I don't own any punk records anymore. So basically, I've got over 1,000 jazz records. I've got a couple hundred rock records, all killer, the ones I got. And then I got stuff from my wife. I got stuff from my parents. I got stuff from my daughter. Yeah, so it's kind of, you know, all the way down to a couple. But these first 3 or 4 cubes back here, this is how I was able to cheat for this one. The first 3 or 4 cubes are all on rotation, or new arrivals as I call them. Sometimes I'll get one, a new arrival, and I'll listen to it, and then I'll file it away with this genre or this artist. And sometimes I'll stick it back in there because it's like, you know, in another day or two, I'm going to listen to this again. So I'll keep them in here. So I'm like, okay, well, let me flip through there. Certainly, I got a couple right next to each other. They're going to be a little out of place. And I was right. Warhorse, Red Sea. And Miles Davis, Smiles in Tokyo. This Warhorse, Red Sea is freaking killer. It's one of my current favorite rock albums in my collection. Vertigo pressing, baby. Freaking killer. And this Miles Davis, Smiles in Tokyo is an RSD Black Friday release that still has not been on the platter yet. I've heard great things. I picked it up after RSD, actually. Went in the store a couple weeks later, and there was one copy left. It was a good price. I was like, you know what, why not? I was interested in it. It's just, you know, saved a lot of money for the OG jazz my boy Dylan Noble Records was packing that day. So no regrets, and I ended up getting it anyway. So that's Weird Shelf Buddies. Number 8 is number 8. I Was There, a band I've seen. Okay, so unfortunately, almost every band I've ever seen in concert, this is gonna blow you away. I didn't realize it until I was thumbing through all my albums just now. I no longer own an album of. So, had to skip the band portion because I no longer have an album from a band I've seen live. I know that's just freaking sad. I could have cheated and went with Wings for Paul McCartney and Wings, but I didn't see Wings. It was McCartney with his band, so I was like, okay, I won't cheat, even though it was a McCartney concert. So I could have went with them, obviously. But I decided to go a little out of the box. It'd be the only country album you see in the whole stack. It's George Strait's Oceanfront Property. I saw George Strait in concert 3 times. George Strait was the first artist I ever saw in concert, and saw him 2 more times after that. And he's got this rotating stage. He'll play a couple songs to one side. Stage rotates, a couple more songs. So no matter where you sit, you're going to get to put eyes on the man. It don't matter where it is you sit at. And so that's awesome. I've always loved how his shows do that. It's definitely... I mean, I've seen plenty of. I've seen, you know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I've seen, you know, Leonard Skinner, and on and on and on and on and on. I just no longer have them in my collection for some reason. There's some of them I'm going to go back and get. There's no doubt about it. Number 10. Nope, excuse me, skipping. Number 9. I wish I had an OG copy. I could have went plenty of places with this. I decided to go with this one. This one's really been nagging at me ever since I got saxophone. Colossus, Tenor Madness, Sonny Rollins Quartet. Very, very, very important to me for my collection, especially because it's the only time you ever hear Sonny Rollins and John Coltrane on the same track, and that is, of course, is the title track, Tenor Madness. This is an OJC pressing. It's killer. It's super clean. It's $15-20. Any of you guys can help me track down an original mono pressing of this in good shape, and I'll give this to you. Seriously, I'll give it to you. That's a huge goal of mine, and has been. Not just any copy. It's got to be VG Plus. And I don't want to sell anything. I don't want to sell my truck for it. Next up, discography you own. Obviously, I mean, I own the full US and UK discography of the Beatles. Not really a shocker there. Most people watching this video probably do. Next up, unique center label. I decided to go with a label that's not so much unique, as it is. I just like the music from the label. I like the music from the label and think more people should know about the label. And I'm going to do a full-on video about the label one day. But the label is Black Jazz Records. And this particular album is Chester Thompson Powerhouse. It's a black-owned jazz label from the 70s. And guys, every release on it, of course, is freaking killer, in my opinion. This is what the label and some variations looks like. It's a killer album. There are plenty of killer albums to be had on Black Jazz. I highly recommend if you see one that's got that on there, just go ahead and go for it, guys. Thank me afterwards. Next one, Preband, an album or band that features someone that went on to be famous. Okay, well, this one was pretty easy for me. I could have picked plenty of albums. I decided to go with Tongue and Geek Strut because I felt like stunting a bit on y'all for one, because this is a rare one. My guess would be most people watching this video probably don't own a copy of this. This is an original mono pressing on Savoy. This is before the Miles Davis days. This is before John Coltrane became the front man phenomenon, greatest saxophonist ever known to man. This is before all that. This is also features Wilbur Hardin, Curtis Fuller, Tommy Flanagan, Howard Williams, Ollie Jackson, and Art Taylor. It's phenomenal. It's a great album. It's one that I also added to my collection in 2019, and it's a big one for me. A lot of you guys, if you're not familiar with it, look it up, stream it, YouTube it. Shit, I don't care. Whatever. Just get a look at it. Next up, musical book / movie you recommend. For a movie, one that pops up in my mind right now, because I'm going to go documentary. I guess, anybody could go with a biopic or anything, but chances are you've probably seen the freaking biopics. I'll go with Chasing Train. Chasing Train is on Netflix right now, relatively new, only 2 or 3 years old, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Denzel Washington narrates, so automatically it's serious. Great stuff, and of course, of my affinity for Train. Also, Netflix. It's an older documentary, but many of you probably haven't seen it. Straight No Chaser, Thelonious Monk. Also on Netflix. Highly recommend it. Take a look. For a book, yeah, I got plenty I could go to for this because I got so many books, autobiographies, biographies, things of that sort. I've got so many that I could go to. But I'm choosing to go with Thelonious Monk, The Life and Times of an American Original by Robert D.G. Kelly. I don't know. For some, that's a meaty read. For me, that's right up my alley. It is a phenomenal book, guys. You will not regret it. It's like $12 on Amazon right now. 14, underrated album. I decided to go with the following. John Coltrane Quartet Crescent. The reason I went with this one, of course, is because when you hear about Train, you hear about, the Prestige, some of the Prestige albums, you hear about the Impulse albums, you hear about Blue Train, you hear about the stuff on Atlantic, Giant Steps, that's what you hear about. When you hear about Impulse, you usually hear a Love Supreme or ballads or, things of that sort. For me, Crescent, brilliant. It's flat out phenomenal album. I believe every jazz collection should have it. Also, still in search for a original pressing of this one. Really want it, but I don't want it beat. I had a couple opportunities to get one in G Plus for cheap, and it's like, nah, I like this album too much. I got to have VG Plus. So anybody who can find me a VG Plus original pressing of John Coltrane's Crescent for a price I can live with, I'll give this to you. Next up, batting average, artist band that consistently makes good albums. I decided to go with the Horace Silver Quintet. My man Horace Silver never made a bad album. Not ever. Ever, 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 ever. Ever, ever, ever. The album that I picked, I could have picked dozens. I picked the Tokyo Blues. Original mono pressing. Because I like showing Blue Note labels. I picked this one in particular because, believe it or not, I read a Horace Silver interview. And Horace had said that of all of his album covers that he ever did, this was his favorite one. And that's Horace and 2 beautiful Japanese ladies. Yeah, for some reason, I guess. I don't know. Lots of awesome album covers. This one being no different. But this is the one he went with. So I just felt that was a neat little side story for that one. Next up, An album you bought cheap that's now worth money. Okay, I cheated a little bit because I bought it cheap, but it was worth money when I bought it. And plenty of money when I bought it. And no doubt the value, just like on every other jazz record, goes up every day. But total coincidence, another Horace Silver record. You guys will probably remember the story if you're long-time viewers of my videos. Song from My Father, the Horace Silver Quintet, original mono pressing, blue note. See, this is one that I wouldn't have been surprised to hear Horace pick as his favorite, because that man right there is the father of the late, great Horace Silver. Looking super sharp in his suit, cigar, awesome hat, all dressed up, dressed to the nines. Wouldn't have been shocked to have heard me pick this one as his favorite, but he went with the Tokyo Blues. Can't go wrong. Phenomenal albums, both of them. Great stuff. I got this at an antique mall in Charlotte, North Carolina for $12. And I thought, must be, you know, a reissue, or it must be beat, or both. Pull it out. New. Strong VG Plus, New York, USA labels, original mono pressing, not a thing in this world wrong with it. RVG stamp, the whole nine, $12. Super clean. This antique mall is notorious, in my opinion, for massively overpricing classic rock and pop albums. You know, it's nothing to pay $15 for a copy of Thriller. Yeah. What record collection doesn't have Thriller? Well, mine doesn't anymore, but it used to. You know, $25 for Sgt. Pepper, but then you go get this gorgeous jazz classic for $12 when it could easily go for $75 to $100, maybe even more, depending on where you're buying from. So, great stuff. I could not have gotten luckier that day. I was giddy all the way home. Next up, number 18, favorite drummer. Easy for me. I could have went for a lot of directions with the album that I decided to choose. I decided to show one that I think I've only showed on my channel ever one time. So I decided to go with The Freedom Rider by Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Art Blakey is my favorite drummer of all time. And this album, in particular, Lee Morgan, Wayne Shorter, Bobby Timmons, Jimmy Merritt. Unbelievable lineup, of course. Why would you be shocked? Great stuff. Phenomenal album. Blakey, as always, looks cool as hell. Badass on the cover. I freaking love the album. I freaking love Art Blakey. Next up, number 20, a trilogy of albums, 3 solid albums back to back. Well, there's like 5 albums in this, working, walking, cooking, steaming, relaxing, the Miles Davis albums. And they're only interrupted by a couple of comp albums that were put out, Bag's Groove, things of that sort that were pieced together by the label and put out. So I'm taking them out of succession. These are what Miles put out in a row. So it's like 5 just freaking killer albums. And I just went ahead and grabbed the first 3 I could get my hands on. You guys get the gist. Working with the Miles Davis Quintet, of course, John Coltrane, Red Garland, Paul Chambers, Philly Joe Jones. Arguably the greatest group of musicians ever assembled, ever. That's for working. Next, original mono pressing, Cooking, with the Miles Davis Quintet. The exact same lineup as the album I just showed you. And my top 2 favorite Miles album for me is Steaming with the Miles Davis Quintet. Miles looks cool as hell on the cover. Kick-ass cover. I freaking love it. For me, favorite Miles albums, this one around about midnight. Cooking probably right after that. Needless to say, I go with about 4 or 5 before I get to Kind of Blue, which always shocks everybody. But that's not knocking Kind of Blue. That's just that's paying homage to the masterful discography that Miles Davis had, especially in my opinion, mid to late 50s, early 60s. All right, so that's my Vinyl Tag 2020. I managed to fit that in under 20 minutes, as long as I don't ramble too much. That is, guys, had a great 2019. Once again, my best year ever for vinyl. And I'm hoping 2020 is even better. It's off to a pretty good start. You guys will see that pretty soon in Recent Finds video. Looking forward to seeing all your tag videos. I've already enjoyed a bunch of them. Keep them coming, guys. Looking forward to seeing them. And I'll see you for Vinyl Tag 2021 for you guys who only watch Vinyl Tag videos. Until next time, until next video, keep dropping that needle, you guys.